Hey guys, Barrett here. Welcome back to Pickleball Kitchen. Today we're doing something a little bit different, a little bit unique. I'm going to give you some pickleball tips just as I usually do, but I'm not going to think about them beforehand. Linda and I are just going to hit the ball and we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what pops up. So I think a good place to start would be cross-court dinking. Let's see what happens once we start doing the cross-court dinking. Here we go. All right, Linda, you ready?
I am.
All right. I love cross-court dinking. It's so much fun. Let's see what pops up. Okay, that actually could be a good one right there. So, do you notice how that ball, that dink over here, kind of got behind me? So, if you're more of an advanced player, or even as you do become more advanced, this can be a tricky dink to deal with when you have one that's coming way out on your side here. Now, you could say, well, just dink it down the line, right? That would be an easy thing. You could do that if your opponent doesn't have the Ernie. That is Ernie territory right there. So you need to be careful of that. However, if you are more of an advanced player, sometimes what people will do is if they get that dink way out wide, they'll do something like this, where they'll try to do some top spin over here where they come straight up. And that can be a disaster, because what often happens with top spin like this, when you're way over on your side, is you have a tendency to come over the ball. And what happens is it goes left and down and you end up just hitting it into the net. So what I'd like to introduce to you here is to do more of a cross-court slice shot instead. So really open up the paddle, okay, to where it's open like this. So not closed, but open like that. And then get out to the side here and then push the paddle through the shot. So push the paddle through. See how the face is open as you come through? Really, really, really cool shot. It allows you to get backspin on the forehand side. So we're going to keep dinking back and forth here. And then when Linda hits a dink out wide, you see that motion. Really, really cool. It allows you to survive dinks on this side, but also have a little bit of aggression going back as well. So again, like that. Really, really cool. Again, you can do other things like the top spin or going down the line. You got to make sure you have the top spin, and you got to make sure that there's not going to be an Ernie on the other side. All right, let's see what we can do on the backhand side here. Woo! Nice, Linda. Oh, boy, that is brutal. Okay, so what did I do here? This is a really common thing that happens on cross-court dinking, is you can get pushed out way, way out wide like this on the backhand side, so far to where stepping over like this isn't going to do it. So oftentimes what you have to do is step and then cross over. So let me show you from this perspective. So pretend I'm on the backhand side. It's a step, step, like this, okay? But even then, sometimes the ball can be getting so far away from you that the only thing that you can do, as you saw with that shot that I just did, is to actually flick the wrist back in the other direction. This is a great skill to have if you're getting caught on that backhand side, because what will happen is if you get pushed out way wide over here on this dink and you don't break the wrist going this way, pretend like you're kind of opening a door here like this, what will happen is you'll hit it sort of open and it'll pop up straight up in the middle. That's what happens. That's the point. That's what they're trying to do here. So what you have to do is, again, to give you a close-up here, is when you turn, get the paddle coming this way. So you have to kind of like pretend it's facing behind you like this, and that will help to get that proper angle so that it doesn't pop up in the middle. Let's see if we can kind of recreate that here. Now that may have been out, but it was still a good, even there, you see how it kind of, there we go. See how I flicked the wrist back? There we go, that's it. That was it. You see how I flick the wrist like that? That can really help if you're getting way behind on that backhand side. Okay, so we decided to do some thirds here, or at least thirds for Linda, fourths for me. So
yeah, that was good. I thought we were
don't be afraid to dink if you're in a situation like this. So, you know, you notice that when she hit that ball over, it was kind of bouncing up a little bit high, and I could have attacked, right? But don't be afraid to do a dink with good position. As you noticed, what I did there was I just did a nice little topspin roll over to the corner, and it was good enough to at least cause some trouble. So don't feel like you have to attack all the time. You can have really, really good shots without the aggression. That is totally possible and totally feasible. So let's see if we can kind of recreate that again.
placement over power.
Placement, yeah, so Linda just said placement over power, and that's very, very true. At least most of the times, you know.
Yep, you got me. Perfect.
So that was an instance where power was certainly required because it was a volley, right? But what we're trying to do is recreate that bouncing. Oh, very close. What we're trying to recreate here is that bouncing drop here in the kitchen. Do you see that? What's going on here, right? All those shots are bouncing. Now it does require that roll. Okay, let me change the angle so you can see it better. Oh, brutal. So again, it does require the forehand, the topspin roll. If you're not learning that, you need to start learning it. Start learning the topspin roll, guys. It's absolutely required at this point.
Yep.
Okay, so what started the attack, again, was a roll. Don't think that aggression is how you're always going to win a point. Of course it will if it's high enough, but there's stuff that you can do on the bounce that can be quite effective. So my back's going to be to you for this next tip, but as we were doing this, I thought of something really, really cool, which is that oftentimes when we get a ball that's too high, let's say like shoulder high, we want to volley it like this, right? And that's a really good shot. But what will happen is oftentimes that ball is going to come back to you around the same level. And so what you have to do is you have to get your upper body out of the way. So let's say you do a volley like this, right? You hit it back, it's a really hard shot, then they pop it up and it's coming straight at your face or at your chest, right in the center. What do? Do you like go do a cross backhand sort of thing? Or do you try to cross over with your forehand? The thing is that if you're on the left side of the court here and you're doing those forehands, you can't cross over with the forehand because you'll hit it out, most likely. So what you have to do is get your upper body out of the way. So let me illustrate this for you. See how I'm getting my upper body out of the way, right? This is not gonna work if you try to get your paddle out in front of you like this. It's not gonna work. You gotta move and then you can hit right there. See how that works? So don't be afraid of getting the upper body out of the way when you're doing shots like this. Okay, so again, get that body out of the way, but be very careful though, because as you move to the left like this, doing this kind of motion, you're exposing the middle of the court. So do be careful if you decide to do that. This probably comes up every single time I do a video or I go play or drill or whatever. And of course, it's footwork. I mean, it always comes up. But what we're gonna focus on here, Linda gave me a good idea, which is this concept of having to stop in the middle of so-called no man's land. There's really no such thing as no man's land, all right? It's just the transition zone. How you approach the kitchen is purely dependent on two things: the quality of your shot and what they can do with the ball. That's the equation. How far you can come in is dependent on those two things. Just to take an extreme example for clarity, if you were to pop up a ball and Linda were to smash it, should you come in? No, absolutely not. You should stay back. However, if I hit the most perfect drop humanly possible and it literally drops right here, right next to the net, should I come in? You should run into the kitchen right on the line. Those are the two extremes. You have to figure out what the balance is. But one thing that will help is learning how to split step or how to stop in the kitchen. So watch what I do here. Now, the split step, it will help if you're comfortable doing it. The split step is literally just you're running in and then you split like this. You do a little hop, but you don't want to like stop on your heels. You want to make sure that you're still on your toes. You can do kind of a double tap like that. So again, watch. So notice the footwork there. If you're not comfortable with that, here's what you can do. Is just slow down like that and begin to crouch. If you're not comfortable split stepping, just crouch. Okay, so you don't have to do the aggressive, crazy split step kind of stuff here. All right, but again, as you come into the kitchen, that footwork is really important.
Yep.
Okay, so did you see how aggressive that third was, right? It really allowed me to come into the kitchen. Amazingly though, Linda handled that third pretty well. That was not bad.
Yeah.
That's a good example of that extreme side of it. A heavy topspin third like that is just going to open up all sorts of doors, but you are the one that has to figure out that balance. Okay, so that was a good example. Did you notice what happened? I'll replay it here, but when she hit that little drop there, I had to be a little bit more defensive. That's the essence of what I'm trying to get across here. But guys, I hope that was helpful. That was kind of fun doing just these random little tips here. Was that useful? Was that helpful? Please let me know. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me. And as usual, I'll see you next time.